Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should always be your own. Just consider these videos to be a second opinion. There's a big time fight coming up in the cruiserweight division in Germany between a young lion, the number one ranked cruiserweight in the world according to BoxRec, that's BoxRec.com, um, and of course a belt holder, Marco Huck, and he's taking on unbeaten challenger Denis Lebedev. Now, in this fight, given the odds I've seen posted, and they are, and you want to check this for yourself on sites like checkyourodds.com and oddschecker.com, right? The odds I've seen are Huck, he's favored, minus 158. Bet 158 to win 100. And Lebedev is the underdog at plus 120. I believe, even though this fight is in Germany, I believe this is a casino mispricing. I believe that based on boxing ability, Denis Lebedev, in my opinion, is the more talented fighter. I think he's the better boxer. I think he is better defensively. I also think that he is a very slick southpaw. And Marco Huck, in my opinion, in a fight he won, fight in which he knocked out his opponent, Matt Godfrey, had a very hard time dealing with Godfrey, who fought him out of a southpaw stance. Now it's interesting because Godfrey, until this fight, had actually been fighting right-handed. But Godfrey's a talented guy. Godfrey threw a southpaw look at Marco Huck, and Huck was completely baffled. It's possible that Huck was baffled because Godfrey had fought orthodox in the past, and like Marvin Hagler against Ray Leonard, came out in a different stance. But be that as it may, Huck seemed very limited to me, seemed to have a problem with Godfrey's lateral movement. Even though he has a very high guard, he seemed to have a hard time defensively, in my opinion. He looked out of sorts in the middle of the ring, and unfortunately, that's not the first time I've seen Marco Huck look confused in the middle of the ring. I would encourage everyone here to take a look at the 12th round of Marco Huck's fight years ago against Steve Cunningham. Now, let me say this. Cunningham, of course, is a former champion. He's one of the dominant people at cruiserweight. But understand that Denis Lebedev hits harder than Steve Cunningham. Take a look at Denis Lebedev's fight against Enzo Maccarinelli. You're going to see that he was able, very accurate puncher, he was able to literally get punches between Maccarinelli's guard, bust up Maccarinelli's eye, and of course Lebedev hits harder than it looks like he does on film. Because understand, Enzo has taken punishment from other people. In this fight, I thought that just the cuts Enzo had, Enzo's movements, showed me that he was badly hurt by Denis Lebedev. I think Lebedev's southpaw stance is going to give Huck problems. I think Lebedev naturally is the better defensive fighter. I think Lebedev is simply the more accurate puncher in the fight. I'm surprised Lebedev is the underdog. In fact, I'm not, because there's a lot of buzz on Huck. But realistically, from a talent perspective, I believe this is a casino mispricing. The bet I'm recommending is to take Denis Lebedev plus 120 underdog to win the fight straddled against Marco Huck by KO. The outcome I would eliminate would be Marco Huck by decision. Now, let's understand the risk involved in this fight, right? And understand it's very risky. Let me also say, too, gambling involves risks. If you don't understand that there's risks involved, you shouldn't be gambling. You shouldn't even be considering gambling. Okay? Here, understand that Marco Huck is a darling in Germany. This fight is in Germany. Also, understand that this is a fight between two punchers. Both of these guys have a high KO ratio. I myself expect a stoppage in the fight. In fact, part of your bet, quite frankly, should be as a kicker, Lebedev by KO, right? It should be Marco Huck by KO on one side, and then and Marco Huck by KO, according to some books, is a plus 250. So if you bet 40 on Marco Huck by KO, you win 100. You want to take that 100 in potential winnings, and you want to put that on Lebedev. And I believe because of the ratios, you can put 80 on Lebedev simply to win the fight, and you can put a kicker of an additional 20 on Lebedev by KO. Understand, either guy could get knocked out at any time. We're just trying to take advantage of the fact that the casinos have made, in my opinion, the better boxer the underdog in this fight, and we're trying to make sure that we have a base bet so if the fight does go the distance, we can still collect. Let me go further on the risk involved in this fight. You remember, right now in the United States, our president is Barack Obama, right? The president before him was George Bush. Believe it or not, at the beginning of Bush's second term, that was the last time, September of 2004, that was the last time that Denis Lebedev went 7 rounds in a fight. He is a heavy handed knockout puncher. He hasn't gone 7 rounds in years, more than 5 years. And so naturally, there should be questions about his stamina, right? So understand, again, it's a very risky fight. Nonetheless, I bet fights based on styles. And I've looked at Marco Huck's ambush style, right? He seems to fight a Jean Pascal type fight where he's outside, then he jumps in, throws heavy handed punches, seems to have been living off of punching power for years, in my opinion, and usually the other guy is too hurt to fight back. Here's the problem with that style. I believe that style can be walked down. In fact, you saw that style walk down in the Glenn Johnson versus Roy Jones fight. Jones fights that same style. A little bit different than Marco Huck, but the same principle. He's outside, he comes in, he throws hard punches, then he gets back out using foot speed. Right? What Glenn Johnson was able to do was to come forward, have a little bounce, disrupt Roy Jones's timing. He kept Jones backing up. He even, at different times in the fight, had Jones up on the ropes. Ambushers don't like to be cornered. They don't like to be backed up. Quite frankly, they don't know what to do when they are backed up. In fact, let's go off road for a second. If you want to see what I mean, go back several years and take a look at the Antonio Margarito versus Sergio Martinez fight. Martinez fights an ambush style, and you're going to see in that fight, Margarito breaks him, literally gets him backing up. And I'm talking about a fighter who I myself consider to be one of the very best in the sport today. Margarito breaks through his envelope, gets him up on the ropes, ends that fight. That fight was a stoppage. Now, looking at Denis Lebedev, he has all of the skills to do that. Look at the Enzo Maccarinelli tape. You're going to see Enzo backing up in the fight. And what I like about Lebedev is he's controlled. In other words, this is a surgeon. He's accurate. He's not throwing wild punches. He's much more accurate than Marco Huck. So to sum up, I think Denis Lebedev here is a very live dog, even though the fight is in Germany. because he is the underdog, and because, in my opinion, he should be favored, I believe your base bet is to take Lebedev to win the fight, straddled against Marco Huck by KO. Understand, Huck is younger. Huck is physically bigger. Huck's 6'1", 6'2". Lebedev isn't even 6 feet tall, right? Huck's going to be fighting before his home fans. Huck has been living off of punching power. So there is a possibility that Huck wins the fight by knockout. The outcome I would eliminate is Huck by decision. I just don't see it happening. Let me know what you think. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Um, Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Let me also say, too, that punching accuracy really is something to keep track of. I took a plus 240 underdog, Michael Casitas, against an older fighter who was more accurate, Juan Manuel Marquez, when Casitas knocked him down relatively early in that fight, and you saw Marquez's feet both fly in the air. I thought I had won a jackpot, plus 240 jackpot, quite frankly. And to make a long story short, Marquez got off the canvas, started flashing some very impressive accuracy, and was able to stop Casitas, although I thought the stoppage was premature, but that might be the sour grapes of a guy who took the over as a straddle in that fight. But Marquez showed in that fight the importance of accuracy. I believe Denis Lebedev is going to show that importance against Marco Huck. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments, and thanks for watching.